Okay, so we'll be doing experiment 5 today. So first of all, can everyone see the screen? So is there anyone got any issues in seeing the screen? Nampak tak screen saya?
Nampak.
Nampak.
Okay. Okay. So let us begin. So first of all, this week you are going to do one experiment. Okay, your last virtual experiment, your last home-based experiment. So experiment 5, simple harmonic motion. So simple harmonic motions is your chapter 9. Okay, so for my class, my tutorial later today, I'll upload a chapter 9 lecture in YouTube. So if you want to know more about chapter 9, you can go through the notes first. Okay, if no, then you can wait until we do it in a lecture. All right. So chapter 9 is quite simple. It's unlike chapter 8, you need to go through the video first before you know how to apply all of the equations. So chapter 9, simple harmonic motions. So learning outcome at the end of this lesson, students should be able to determine the accelerations due to gravity. So again, you are looking at gravity. Okay, which means this experiment, once again, we have a theoretical value, unlike experiment 4. Okay, experiment 4, I didn't give you guys a theoretical value because I don't know which flywheel you're using. Therefore, I cannot give you the value. Because in our lab, we have 3 different flywheels. Okay, I'm not sure which one they are using. Therefore, I didn't give you the theoretical value, which means in experiment 4, actually in your first paragraph, you don't have to compare with theoretical value, right? But in experiment 5, again, because you're using you're determining the gravity, therefore you have a theoretical value, which is the 9.81 again. Okay, 9.81 ms negative 2. That is your theoretical value, and that is the values that you need to compare in your first paragraph. And then investigate the effect of large amplitude oscillations to the accuracy of G obtained from the experiment. So what does it mean? It means you will have 2 different G. Okay, one from a small amplitude and one from large amplitude. Okay, that's how you do a comparisons. Okay, now let's go to theory. So an oscillations of a simple pendulum is an example of simple harmonic motions. If the mass, now we assume it is a point mass, and then the mass of the string is a negligible. So the string must be thin enough that it won't affect the oscillation. So that is the second assumption. And the third assumption is the angle is less than 10 degrees. Okay, so we need to fulfill these 3 things in our experiment. Okay, in order to achieve a simple harmonic motions. So according to the theories of a simple harmonic motions, the period is a t equals to 2 pi square root L over G, where L is the length of the pendulum and G is the accelerations due to gravity. And then rearrange equations 3.6, we obtain t square equals to 4 pi square L over G. So if you look at the theory, it says you're going to sketch a graph of t square against L. All right, which means when you compare these equations with y equals to mx plus c, okay, y is your t square and x is your L. Okay, so the remaining term, you have to determine which one belongs to M and which one belongs to C. Okay, so hence from the gradients of the graph, the values of G can be calculated. So again, it's from gradient. Okay, now apparatus. So how are you going to conduct this virtual lab? First of all, you need a piece of string, okay, which is approximately equals to 105 cm. So these strings you try to ask from your mom. Okay, your mom should have it. So if no, okay, if not, what else you can use? Yeah, okay, other than the strings, I think you can use a fishing string as well. Okay, your fishing cables. Okay, as long as it is thin enough. So you don't use the normal nylon strings ya, yang warna pink punya nylon strings itu tak boleh guna pakai. Okay, yang boleh guna pakai strings yang jahit baju atau kamu punya string memancing, kalau tak siap itu boleh juga. Okay, yang penting is a thin. Okay, so don't use the nylon strings, the pink color nylon strings that usually we use in tying things in our daily life. All right. So a piece of strings, which is approximately equivalent to 105 cm, and then a small padlock or a keychain, some things that can be hung. So this is how you set up the experiment, okay? So you need a string, and then you need some things that can be hung, okay? Not just a small padlock or keychains, but anything that is heavy and small enough, okay? Small but heavy enough that can give you oscillation. All right, you don't tie something that is a light that cannot give you a nice oscillation. And then a suitable place to hang the pendulum. Okay, now what does it mean by suitable place to hang the pendulum? Now you cannot do it right beside the wall. Okay, why? Okay, because if you think, okay, if you imagine this is the wall, okay, try to recall what happened in your free fall experiment. Why I gave you all, most of you guys, wrong in your setup. Okay, now you want to conduct an experiment involve a simple pendulum. If you hung it at the wall, okay, if you hang it at the wall, what is going to happen? So it will touch the wall when it's oscillate. If it's touching the wall when it's oscillating, then there would be a friction. Okay, and friction will cause the experiments becomes inaccurate. So you need to make sure when you hang this simple pendulum, okay, you need somewhere where it can oscillate freely. So one of the place that is I think that would be nice to hang is maybe beside your table. Okay, if you have a very tall table, okay, then you hang it here. So this is your protractor, and then you hang it, then it can oscillate freely. Okay, it can oscillate freely. So make sure your pendulum, it won't touch anything when it is oscillating. That is the first thing. Okay, that is the first thing that you need to make sure. And then the second thing, you need to switch off the fan. Okay, because fans and windows, wind, all those things, they can affect your experiment. All right, so you need to find a suitable place for you to hang the pendulum. That is the meanings of a suitable place. All right, so make sure your pendulum won't touch anything, and then make sure you switch off the fans and so on. All right, try to reduce the airflows in the class, in your room. And then you need a stopwatch or a stopwatch function in your smartphone. Okay, and then a meter ruler or any measurement tab, okay, that can measure up to 105 cm. Okay, 105 cm. So if you use a 30 cm ruler, then you need to measure it multiple times, okay, 4 times, in order to get this 105 cm. And then a protractor with a hole at the center of the semicircle. Okay, why do you need a hole? Okay, now if you recall the shape of a protractor, okay, so this is your protractor. Okay, and then this is the measurement. So you have a horizontal line here, and then this is 90-degree line, and then this is the starting point. The hole should be made at this crossing point, the origin. Okay, so this is where you need to put a hole. Now, if you can put a hole here, then you just maybe use your plasticines or anything. Okay, just make sure, okay, just make sure before you move the pendulum, okay, after you hang the pendulum, your string, okay, the string is parallel to this 90-degree line, right? Your line is parallel to this 90-degree, and the starting point is this origin. Okay, so this is your string. It's parallel to your 90-degree line, and it starts exactly at the origin. All right, so that you can get an accurate value. So this is your protractor. Okay, the hole should be at this blue color dot. Okay, this red color dot, this yellow color highlight. All right, so if you cannot make a hole, then you just use plasticines or you use a scotch tape or anything. Okay, just make sure that the starting point of your string should be here. Now, what if, okay, what if you're in a zone Fasa 1 where the bookshop hasn't opened and you don't have protractor in your house? Okay, you can actually search for apps in your phone, okay, protractor apps. So which means in that case, how are you going to conduct the experiment? You're going to stick your handphone to the wall and then hang the pendulums in front of your phone screen. Okay, you need to stick the strings to your phone screen. Okay, so that is an alternative method. Kalau betul-betul lah rumah anda tak dapat jumpa protractor, kamu dah tak dapat cari protractor dan sebagainya, apa yang anda boleh buat? Anda pergi cari apps. Okay, sebab memang ada apps untuk protractor. So, anda cari apps untuk protractor. Cuma kalau anda cari apps, nanti anda kena gantung handphone pada dinding pula. Okay, pada tepi meja pula. Alright. So a pair of scissors, this one is up to you. Okay, now, so if you look at this list of apparatus, okay, you have two things that you need to measure, okay, which is the length of the strings and also the time by using smartphone, okay, by using smartphone. Okay, so how to conduct the experiment? So this is the setup. So again, you don't have to give me this diagram in your lab report. What I want to see is the picture. Okay, and for my class, okay, which is H72, what are you going to do this week? I want you to learn how to make a short video clip. Because in your practical test, you are going to do a short video clip. Okay, you're going to do a short video clip within 1 to 3 minutes. Maximum 3 minutes, minimum 1 minute. All right, 1 to 3 minutes to show how you conduct this experiment. Okay, and I will tell you what is the things that you need to include in your video clip. So you are going to learn how to edit the video. You're going to practice how to make a video. Okay, because I want you guys to make sure you know the step in doing video. Okay, so we are going to do a test run. Okay, I will call it a test run this week. All right, by using this experiment. So step number 1, set up a simple pendulum as shown in the figure 3.3 and then take a picture of your complete setup and attach it in your lab report. All right, so I told you already what you need to do in your experiment. Okay, you need a suitable place. What does it mean by a suitable place? A place without airflow, especially no fan. And then when you oscillate, okay, when you release the pendulum, when it's oscillating, it won't touch anything. Okay, which means you cannot do this setup right beside the wall. Okay, unless your wall got some place that is coming out slightly, okay, coming out from the wall slightly. Okay, maybe you got a rack there, and then you can use it. Okay, if you got a rack, okay, then you can do it. All right, just make sure it won't touch the wall. Okay, so in experiment 2, your free fall experiment, a lot of you make a mistake because you let your falling object touching the wall. That is wrong. Make sure in this experiment, you don't repeat the same mistake again. Okay, you don't repeat the same mistake again. All right, and then you measure the length of the strings about 40 cm. So you begin with 40 cm. Now, it doesn't mean you have to cut your strings at 40 cm. Okay, you can still cut it at 105 cm. You just need one string. Okay, one string is more than enough. You cut it at 105 cm. So when you hang your pendulum, what are you doing? So you can hang it at 40 cm length, and then the remaining string, you just maybe hang it somewhere else, or you tied it somewhere else. Okay, just make sure it won't affect the swinging, the oscillation. Okay, so the additional string, okay, maybe you can just wheel it along this starting point, or maybe you can put it on top of the rack or anywhere else. All right, so it means that you don't have to cut that many pieces of string. You just need one piece of string, which the length is equivalent to 105 cm. Okay, so after you tied it, the length of this blue color string, this blue color part is a 40 cm. Okay, that's it. Okay, that's it. So one string is enough. Okay, jangan bazir, don't waste your string. One string is enough. It depends on how you tie it. So you start it from 40 cm. And then next step, okay, this is very, very important. Usually students forgot about this step. Your angle should be less than 10 degrees from the vertical line. Okay, from the 90-degree line. So release the pendulum at less than 10 degrees from the vertical in one plane and measures the time for 10 oscillation. Now, before you start your stopwatch, make sure it oscillates few oscillation first. Okay, make sure you complete few oscillation first. So let it swings a few times. before you start your stopwatch. Why? Because the first few cycle usually is not that smooth. Okay, biasanya first beberapa oscillations dia tak smooth. So apa yang anda kena buat, anda biar dia oscillate beberapa kali dulu before you take the oscillation, before you take the time, before you record, before you start your stopwatch. Okay, now what does it mean by oscillation? Okay, so this is your pendulum. All right, let's say you let it start at 10 degree. Make sure every time you start at the same angle, yeah? So if your first oscillation is 10 degree, then the following oscillations, they are all 10 degree. So now let's say you let it start from 10 degree. So this is your vertical line. Okay, so here until here is 10 degree. Now what does it mean by oscillation? One oscillation is where it starts from this starting point, okay, and then it goes back to its equilibrium position, which is 0 degree, and then it goes to the opposite direction, okay, until it reaches the maximum height. Now in an ideal situation, it should reach 10 degree as well. Okay, dia sepatutnya kembali ke 10 degree juga. Kalaulah di dalam ideal situation where there's no friction, there's no air resistance, and so on. All right, and then it goes back to the equilibrium position, and it goes back to its initial position. Okay, so after it complete this 4 path, okay, then we say this is equals to 1 oscillation. Okay, this is equivalent to 1 oscillation. So from initial position, which is 10 degree, it goes to the 0 degree, and then it goes to 10 degree in the opposite direction, and then it goes back to 0 degree, and at last it goes back to its initial position. Then that one, we call it 1 oscillation. So what are you going to do? You need to record time for 10 oscillation. All right, you need to record the time for 10 oscillation. So let it swing few oscillation first before you start to record the time. Okay, so when it reaches the maximum height, okay, you start the stopwatch, and then you record the time for 10 oscillation. So which means for every round, okay, for every round, this pendulum is going to swing, let's say 15 oscillation. Okay, maybe you let it swing for 5 oscillation first, and then you start to record the time, and it swing for another 10 oscillation. So altogether 15 oscillation, for example. All right. So that is how you do the experiment. So repeat step number 3 and calculate the average value. So again, you are going to have the average value for time. So how many times? Maybe 2 to 3 times. Okay, I think in your report, okay, it wants 3 value. Okay, 3 values. So 3 times. Okay, you repeat it 3 times. And then calculate the periods of oscillations of the pendulum. Aha! Now, if you recall the meanings of period, okay, the meanings of period. If you recall, what have we learned in chapter 6? Chapter 6, I taught you guys 2 different T. I showed you guys what is the difference between capital letter T and small letter t. Capital letter T is a time taken, regardless of the numbers of oscillation. Okay, the time taken for any oscillations, any amounts of oscillations. Okay, it could be a 1 oscillations. Okay, it could be a more than 1 oscillation. It could be less than 1 oscillations. Okay, so time taken for any oscillations, for any numbers of oscillations. All right, for any numbers of oscillations. Now, when it comes to capital letter T, okay, what does it mean by capital letter T, which is period? It is the time taken for 1 oscillation. Okay, time taken for 1 oscillation. Now, what does it mean by time taken for 1 oscillations? If you look at the step number 3, it asks you to record the time taken for 10 oscillation. Okay, the time taken, total time taken. Total time taken for 10 oscillation. Okay, in which this is our small t. So in step number 4, it asks you to calculate the time taken for 1 oscillation. So how are you going to calculate it? think about it by yourself. Okay, I'm not going to show you. You yourself think, how are you going to calculate the periods of oscillation? Alright, so biar kamu punya otak gerak sedikit, kamu sendiri fikir. The times that you record is the time for 10 oscillation. In step number 4, it asks you to calculate the time taken for one oscillation. So how are you going to do it? Think about it. And then step number 5, it asks you to calculate step 3 and step 4 for 50 cm, 60 cm, 70, 80, and 90. So altogether, you have 6 reading. Okay, starting from 40 cm. Okay, that's why I told you don't have to cut that many pieces of strings. You just need one string that is equivalent to 105 cm. And then it depends on how you tie the string. All right. So just one piece of string is enough. You don't go and cut a 50 cm, 40 cm, 60 cm, 70 cm, 80 cm, and 90 cm string. No. Okay, don't waste the string. And then next, what are you going to do? You're going to plot a graph of, now this graph is the graph of t square. Okay, so remember, you have two different t in your table. One is the time, total time taken, which is a small letter t. One is the capital letter T. And the one that you are going to use in plotting your graph is a capital letter T, okay, which is the period. So don't get confused. Don't use the wrong T in your calculations. So T squared against L, this is your graph. Okay, so from the gradient of the graph, you then determine the values of G. So that is the first G that you're going to get. Okay, first G. So you will have two different G in this experiment. Now you repeat the step again. Okay, you repeat the experiment again. So now this is the second part of the experiment. So I'm going to draw a line here. So just now we are done with the first part. Now we're going to look at the second part of the experiment. Second part of the experiment, you're still going to use the same setup. But now what is going to happen is that you are going to set the angle at 70 degrees from vertical. Okay, if you recall, what is the assumption in a simple pendulum, simple oscillation? So in a simple harmonic motion, we always assume the angle is less than 10 degrees. Now, the second part of the experiment, it wants you to try to release the pendulum at a 70 degree from the vertical. Okay, and then you record the time for just 5 oscillations. Because for a large angle, you cannot record the time for too many oscillations. Okay, the times will become inaccurate. So maybe you let it swing 2 times before you start to record the time. Okay, you let it swing 2 oscillations first, and then you record the time for another 5 oscillations. All right, you don't let it swing too many oscillations before you start the recording, before you start the time. All right, because it will become less accurate at the very large angle. So calculate the time for 5 complete oscillations, and then repeat and calculate average. So again, 3 times here. When it comes to average value, we always repeat 3 times. Then you calculate the periods of oscillations of the simple pendulum. So again, you're still going to use same table. Okay, one table for 10 degree, where you're going to do it from 40 cm until 100 cm. And then you do a second table for 70 degree. But now what do you have? You have only 100 cm. Okay, you have only 100 cm. So even though it is still a table, but now this table for 70 degree is much smaller. Okay, because you just have one reading. But then in your 70 degree, you don't have to plot graph. Okay, graph is only for 10 degree. Okay, graph is only for 10 degree. From graph, you determine G. For 70 degree, what are you going to do? You use equations 3.1. Okay, you use equations 3.1. And then you calculate the values of G. So you calculate the accelerations due to gravity by using equations 3.1. Okay, and then the values of L and the T from step number 8. All right. So which means from this step, you're going to get your second G. Okay, the second G. And then convalidate the G obtained from step number 7 and also step number 9 with a standard value G equals to 9.81 ms negative 2. All right, and then write your comment. So what are you going to do? You have 2 different G, one from step number 7, one from step number 9. Okay, both of them, you need to compare with 9 equals to, G equals to 9.81. Okay, and then you calculate the percentage of error for step number 7 and also the percentage of error for step number 9. And then you compare, see which one give you less error. Okay, so from there you can then answer your second objective, because if you look at the objective again, okay, other than it asks you whether you can determine accelerations due to gravity by using the simple pendulum, it asks you to investigate the effect of large amplitude. So how are you going to investigate? You compare. Okay, compare the percentage of error from step 7 and step 9. Okay, compare the percentage of error from step number 7 and also step number 9. So this is how you answer your second objective. So which means in this experiment, in your discussions, you need to mention one more thing. Okay, other than your results, you need to mention the comparison, and then you conclude. Okay, what happens when you increase the angle of the oscillation? Okay, when you increase the angles of the pendulum. So that is your step number 10. Okay, your step number 10, compare the value. So done. That is the end of your experiment 5. Okay, your last experiment. So far, any questions regarding this manual experiment? Ada apa-apa pertanyaan berkaitan dengan manual ini? Hello? Still alive? Any question? Ada, boleh faham kan? So jangan buat silap nanti, okay? Jangan buat silap nanti. So make sure you don't repeat the same mistake that you did in your second experiment. All right, now, how to write your lab report then? So I would repeat once again, okay, because H72, you guys don't have a lab last week, right? We don't have Amali last week. So I will repeat it again rather than just ask you to watch the video and then you keep PM the P, PM the P. Okay, so don't PM the P, PM in group. All right, you write in a group, do a group message. So now how are we going to do your report writing? Okay, your report writing. So for H2T4, you confirm with Encik Anas. Okay, how are you going to write your lab report? So this explanation is just for my class. All right, because actually this is a format of your report writing test. But I'm not sure how Encik Anas is going to do it with you guys. So make sure you guys double check with him. All right, because you're going to submit this lab report to him, but not to me. Okay, and your report writing test will be marked by Encik Anas. So you need to double check with him how he wants you guys to do your lab report. All right, so of course you can follow, you can still go through it with me, but you just double check with Encik Anas. All right, so report writing, the first things that you need to have, of course, your name. Hey, what happened? Yeah. Hey. Okay, so you need to have your name, okay, and then your number metric as usual, and then your class, so that I know it's coming from where, okay, it's coming from who. And then after that, the things that you need to include in your report writing, in your report writing test, okay, in your report during report writing test, the first thing is the title. All right, make sure you have the title. And then objective. Remember, the things that you need to put here is objective, not learning outcome. There's still one or two of you give me learning outcome, not learning outcome. Okay, don't give me a complete learning outcome without changing the words, without changing the statement, without changing the sentence. All right, so I've told you guys how to write objective already. How many times already? This is the fifth experiment, right? I told you 5 times already. How should you write your objective? So if you can remember, go back and watch the video. Okay, the first 4 video. Remember, objective is not your learning outcome. Hey, learning objective, right? Okay, it is not your learning outcome. So you need to change the sentence a little bit. Okay, and make it into your objective. Okay, not learning outcomes, remember. And then What else? Okay, now in your report writing test, you don't need to write theory, you don't need to write apparatus, you don't need to write procedure. Okay, straight away proceed to observation. So this is what I want you guys to do in the experiment 5 as well. Okay, so we already practiced this format in experiment 4. I want you to try it again in experiment 5. All right. So I want you to get used to this format so that you don't do any mistake in your proper report writing. So in a data observation, okay, what is a data observation? Data observation means a table. Okay, it means a table. So you need to have your table. So just now you have a length. So you include the length, and then don't forget to include the important things, which is the uncertainty and also the unit. Okay, and then you record the time. Okay, and then you have your t, and then you have your t squared because you need to plot the graph. All right, and then remember which one is your primary data, which one is your secondary data. Primary data is the data that you measure directly from the experiment, which must include its uncertainty. Okay, which you might include its uncertainty. And the numbers of decimal places that you use in your table, in your record, right, in your data, it depends on the tools that you are using. All right. So T, we don't have a fixed value for the uncertainty because it depends on your phone. It depends on your stopwatch. Okay, if you use a spot stopwatch, I think it can be recorded up to 2 decimal places only. But if you use your phone, you can record up to 6 decimal places, if I'm not mistaken. So the value recorded, okay, how many decimal places? It depends on your device. Okay, it depends on the watch that you're using. So if it's 2 decimal places, then all the value must be 2 decimal places. If it's 6 decimal places, then all of them must be 6 decimal places. Okay, so it all depends on your tools. Okay, now one more things that I mentioned last week. Okay, so we have a T1. Let's say this is your value 1. And then this is your second value. This is your third value. And then this is your average value. Now, average value is something very unique, very special. Why? Because if you put it under this column, then it follows the sensitivity. Okay, sensitivity of the tools. So which means if you put it in this column, okay, in under this T, the column of T, then you need to treat it as a primary data. Okay, even though you calculate average value, even though average value is a secondary data, but because now you put it in this column, the column together with all the other time, okay, then you need to keep it 6 decimal places. All right, but if you do a table, okay, but if you separate it, okay, if you separate it, then what is going to happen? So let's say now you put T average here, capital letter T, okay, and then T square. If you take it out, okay, if you take it out from T, the T1, T2, T3, you make it a new column, then in this case, we keep it 3 significant figures, okay, or 2 decimal places. All right, or 2 decimal places. 3 significant figures or 2 decimal places. And remember, yeah, if your value is too small, for example, if your value is up to 0.01 to 0.0, let's say 1, 3, and so on, you change it into power form. Okay, so it becomes 1.2 times 10 to the power of negative 2. Okay, and then 1.3 times 10 to the power of negative 3. So when you change it into power form, 2 decimal places. So let's say if you have 121, 134, then it becomes 1.21, 1.34. So in this case, if you notice, we have 3 significant figures, okay, or 2 decimal places. That's why I keep telling you guys, you can use 3 SF or 2 decimal places, provided if you know the rules in the table. The rules in the table, actually, you should write it in this form, okay? 1 digit in front of a decimal places, and then 2 digit after decimal places. So it gives you 3 significant figures or 2 DP. Okay, that is how you do it. So if you have a value maybe up to 100, 200, 300, you also change it into a power form. All right. So for example, in experiment 3, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, some of you give me the value, for example, because you got value up to 100, then you give me 200.01, let's say 0.123, because I told you can give me 3 decimal places. So in this case, actually it's considered as wrong. All right, because you give me 6 significant figures. 6 significant figures is too much, because our graph can only record up to 3 significant figures. Okay, that's why I keep telling you guys, in your table, you keep it at 3 significant figures or 2 decimal places, because that is the accuracy that we can plot in our graph. Graph kita tak boleh record up to 6 significant figures. Okay, graph paper kita maximum dia boleh bagi kita bacaan up to 3 significant figures kalau betul-betul nak tengok. That's why dalam table kita practice 3 significant figures atau 2 decimal places. Okay, atau 2 decimal places. All right, so make sure you know how to change your data, how to do a unit conversions, how to convert into power, and how many decimal places to use. So primary data, it depends on the sensitivity of the tools. Secondary data, we follow the rules of a significant figures or 2 decimal places. So terpulang pada anda yang mana kamu satu nak pilih. Okay, done. Okay, so table done. Make sure you have everything's nicely, everything's correct in the correct decimal places, and then you have a correct sensitivity, uncertainty, unique, and decimal places. Okay, all them. Okay, all these, it will give you 6 marks. Okay, so just the table itself, 6 marks in your report. Okay, 6 marks. So a title just now, okay, title 1 mark. Make sure to write the titles, and then objective 1 mark. So if you write learning outcome but not objective, then 1 mark will be deducted. Okay, 1 mark will be deducted if you give me the wrong objective. And then 6 mark for just the table. All right, 6 mark for just the table. And then after that, okay, is your calculation. First part of the calculation is your centroid. Okay, so what should you do in your centroid? You must show how you calculate it. So you need to show the value. For example, your axis, your L. So average L is equals to 40.0 plus 50.0 plus until 90.0. You need to show it. Okay, because 1 mark is given to the substitution. So divided by 6, and then final value with unit. Another marks. So you calculate substitutions and show the unit, you got 2 marks from the calculation. Okay, you got 2 marks from the calculations before you plot it into your graph. So this year, they changed the format a little bit. Calculations, they give it another marks. Previously, calculations plus plot, 1 mark. Okay, calculations plus plotting, 1 mark. Now calculation, it has 2 marks, and then the plotting just 1 mark. So make sure you show the calculations. All right, make sure you show this one, the substitution, and then you write it down in a correct unit. Okay, and then you calculate for t square. All right, you repeat again for t square average. So you do it again, and then give me in a fraction form, and fraction coordinate form. As usual, okay, show me in a coordinate form. So you calculate centroid, okay, you calculate centroid, and then after that, of course, you need a gradient. Okay, you need a gradient. So this one, you just have m, you don't have delta m, so you can just skip it. Okay, because the data given, if I'm not mistaken, yes, no delta m. Okay, no delta m. So you just calculate gradient. Okay, of course, gradient y2 minus y1 again shows all of the substitution. Okay, x2 minus x1, especially the decimal places, right? Because I told you guys already how to check the decimal places, how many decimal places to be used in your calculation. Okay, if you got wrong numbers of decimal places, then 0 mark for the substitution. Okay, decimal place, bilangan decimal place mesti betul. Kalau salah, substitutions kosong marka. Right? And then the value must come with unit. A lot of you didn't give me the unit. You just give me the unit in your required value. In that case, 1 mark will be deducted. Okay, gradient mesti ada unit. All right, no unique, then it's considered as wrong. All right, and then after that, you calculate the required value. What is your required value? Required value is your G. Okay, is your G. So you start from equations 3.1, you do the comparison. Okay, so you use equations from theory, and then compare with y equals to mx plus c. From here, you identify your m is equals to what, and then you calculate your G. Okay, you calculate G. So G from step number 7, and then repeat again for G from step number 9. But G from step number 9, no gradient. Okay, this is just from equation. From equations 3.1 straight away. Okay, from equations 3.1, you obtain another G. So your second G. Okay, and then make sure after you obtain G, you calculate the percentage of error. Okay, percentage of error for it, and then percentage of error for the second G. Right? So after that, what else? Now, no. Okay, done. So now we are done. No more. So that is a calculation. Okay, make sure it comes with a correct unit, and then correct unit. Okay, correct unit. So from centroid, okay, from your centroid until required value, okay, until required value, 10 marks altogether. All right, just for the calculation, 10 marka, okay, 10 marks for the calculation. And then, of course, you need a graph, okay? After you plot the centroid, there's one more step, which is the graph. Okay, here we have graph. Graph is under another category in a scoring rubric, okay? Graph this time altogether is 11 marks. All right, graph is 11 marks. So what is the things that you need to include in your graph? Okay, first thing, of course, you need title. Okay, title of the graph. And then, okay, the second thing, you need to have a correct axis. Okay, so make sure you know which one is x-axis, which one is y-axis. Okay, and then with label. And label, of course, must come with unit. Label without unit, 1 mark will be deducted. Okay, label tanpa unit, 1 markah akan ditolak. And then, of course, plotting. Okay, plotting. After that, what else? Okay, before you plot, of course, you need to make sure the scale and the size is correct. Okay, so suitable scale. Now, what does it mean by suitable scale? The interval between every reading should be the same. If you use jump scale, then you need to jump on both axes. How to do jump scale? If you forgot already, go back to the video. I explained it twice already. Okay, once I think in experiment 2 and once in your experiment 3, if I'm not mistaken. I explained it twice already how to do jump scale. Okay, you can use jump scale, but you must jump on both axes. Okay, x and y axis, both jump at the same time. All right. So you need to have a suitable scale. All right, suitable scale means the interval for every scale must be equal, and then you don't use odd value. Okay, the value that looks odd. For example, you don't give me 7, 14, 21, 20, 28. Okay, usually we use even numbers or the factor of 5, or the factors of 5, or even number scale. Okay, we seldom or we never use 3, 6, 9, 12, or a 7, 14, 21, or a 9, 18, 27. All those is not suitable scale. All right, all those, they are not suitable scale. So make sure you know how to choose suitable scale. Now, if your scale is correct, then you will get a nice size of the graph. Okay, so the size of the graph, it should be 60% of the graph paper. Okay, 60% of the graph paper. Right. Now, previously, okay, I told you guys the way we determine the graph is from a first plot until the last plot, right? So because I got some of the graph, the data is not very nice. So now we change the rules a little bit. We look at the line, okay, the line from the starting point until the end of the line. But even so, okay, you don't use a too small scale, okay. Even though we look at the length of the line, okay, we use the line to determine 60%, but make sure the point they are not all accumulate at one position. Okay, walaupun sekarang kita bagi sikit kelonggaran, kita tengok length line, okay, bukan lagi dari first titik sampai last titik, kita tengok panjang line. Tapi jangan juga sampai kamu ada data di mana semua titik dia kumpul di hujung sini. Okay, in this case, I'm still going to take it as wrong. Okay, line kamu taburan dia kena cantik. Kalau taburan dia dah cantik, tapi dia tak cukup 60%, kamu guna line bagi dia cukup 60%, then okay, itu saya terima. Okay, but don't let all the line accumulate at one point. Okay, kalau kamu bagi semua titik, contohnya kumpul di, okay, let's say your skill you start from 0 until 20. All these point they accumulate in between 18 until 20. Then in this case, I will take it as wrong. Okay, I will take it as wrong. But if you have a skill from, let's say, from 0 until 20, okay, then your line, your dot, maybe they accumulate in between 4 to 16. Okay, but 4 to 16, maybe it's not enough, it's not 60% yet. Then in that case, I still can accept it. Okay, I still can accept the line. As long as the line, the length of the line, more than 60% of the graph paper. Okay, so boleh faham kan? So walaupun saya terima 60% berdasarkan panjang line, tapi saya juga tak nak semua titik kumpul mungkin dalam satu atau dua kotak sahaja dalam graph paper anda. Okay, saya nak tengok dia ada sikit taburan yang jelas. Okay, so that is for the scale of the graph, okay, for the size of the graph. 60% of the graph paper, okay, not 50%. This year they increase to 60%. That's why kita bagi sikit kelonggaran. Okay, kita tak tengok dari titik, kita tengok panjang line. Alright, so that is in terms of the size of the graph. And then next thing, okay, in order to score this 11 marks, what is the next thing? You need a best fit line. Okay, you need a best fit line. So remember the rules, your best fit line. First, it must choose a centroid. And then second, it must be balanced. Okay, it must be balanced. And then, okay, and then what else? The last one is a triangle. Okay, what is a triangle? It is a triangle for gradient. So the triangle for gradient, like I told you before, don't touch axis, don't touch any of the data point. All right, and the size must be greater than 50% of the graph. Okay, this is 50% of the graph, not 50% of graph paper. Okay, tadi size of the graph, we are looking at 60% of graph paper. Now, triangle, we look at 50% of the graph, which is the 50% of the line that you draw. Okay, for the lines that you draw. So this is how to score 11 marks in your graph. Okay, you need to have a title, correct axis with label and unique, and then you plot it. And then in terms of size of the graph, size of the triangles, and then the best fit line. So if everything correct, then you got another 11 marks. All right. So far we have seen how to score in a format, which is you must have the title, observations, objective, and then calculations give you 10 marks, table give you 6 marks, graph give you 11 marks. Okay, next thing. Okay, that is next thing is the major changes, I would say. The major changes in your formal report writing, which is the discussion. Okay, discussion, they changed quite a lot. So how to do discussion? Now, discussion, this time they increase to 10 marks. Okay, previously just 6 marks, but this year they make it into 10 marks. So next part is your discussion. Okay, next part is your discussion. Discussion now, instead of 3 paragraphs, you need 4 paragraphs. Okay, 4 paragraphs. No point form, yeah, for my class. So for Mr. Anas' class, it depends on Mr. Anas. If he accepts, then it's fine. But for my class, No point form. You give me point form, you give me table, then you say goodbye to these 10 marks. Okay, I won't give you the marks. Alright, so boleh faham kan? So kelas saya tak nak tengok point form. If you want these 10 marks, then you give me 4 paragraph. Okay, not 1 paragraph, not bullet point, not table. Okay, kalau kamu tak ikut rules, tak ikut format, then saya tak akan tanda, saya tak akan baca pun. Okay, now the first thing. Okay, first paragraph, comment and compare. Okay. So comment, how do you comment? If you remember, I told you before, you comment based on percentage of error. Okay, if percentage of error is less than 20%, then it means your result is accepted. So comment is more on result. Okay, you talk about result. What happens to your result? What is your result? Is it accepted or not? Then compare, you compare with a theoretical value. Okay, you compare with theoretical value. But in this experiment, other than theoretical value, okay, you also compare with the G from step number 7. Okay, you compare between step 7 and step number 9. Okay, so compare with theoretical value. Okay, and then you mention the percentage of error, and then you make a conclusions whether your result is accepted or not. Okay, so that marks the end of first paragraph. Okay, first paragraph, comment and compare. Now, the second paragraph, okay, the second paragraph, that is the changes that I told you before. That is the changes that I mentioned just now, in which now you need to add one more paragraph for the precaution step. One precaution. What is the things that you did before you start the experiment? So, for example, one of the precautions that you like to use very much is the fan. Okay, you say you switch off the fan. Okay, then you explain a little bit. All right. So one step with explanation. Okay, kenapa kamu tutup kipas? Then you mention it a little bit. Okay, you mentions why. Okay, you mentions why. So this is your second paragraph. Okay, remember, now you have one additional paragraph where now you need to mention the precaution step. Third paragraph, now you need 2 errors. Okay, third paragraph, we go back to the old format, which is 2 errors. So you mention 2 errors together with explanation. Okay, and remember, yeah, in my lab report, I don't want to see 0 error. I don't want to see parallax error. You give me the 2 error, I give you 0 mark. Okay, easy trick. Saya tak payah baca, saya tak payah tanda, saya terus pangka bagi kosong marka. Okay, so 2 errors with precaution. There are a lot more of things that you can mention in your discussion. Okay, in your discussions, you try to imagine how did you do the experiment. Okay, what is the setup that you're using? Okay, so from there, what is all the other unavoidable error? Okay, the error that cannot be avoided. So that one, we call it error. Okay, the things that cannot be avoided. So 0 error it can be avoided. Jadi jangan bagi saya. Okay, jangan bagi saya di dalam explanations Anda, discussions Anda. Because it is an error that can be used in almost every single experiment. So I don't want to see it anymore. Alright. So no 0 error, no parallax error in your report writing. Kalau kamu bagi saya 2 error itu, saya terus pangkat tanda pangkal saja. Jangan PM tepi lagi tanya saya, Miss, kenapa saya salah? Okay, so I won't answer that question because I mentioned it how many times already? Starting from second experiment, 4 times already. I don't want 0 error. I don't want parallax error. Yet some of you still give me 0 and parallax error in your experiment 4. Okay, saya macam nak buang sahaja report kamu ke dalam tong sampah. Nasib baik sekarang soft copy bukan hard copy. Kalau hard copy kamu kutip di tong sampah saya report kamu. Okay, so 2 errors with an explanation. And then 2, now these 2, they don't want a precaution step anymore, okay? This 2 is no longer precaution step. This 2 is the suggestions. Okay? So previously, I told you, you can give me suggestions, you can give me precaution step. I accept both. But now in your report writing test, they want a different thing. They want suggestions, the things that you haven't done in your experiment. Okay, so you observe there's a 2 error here, then you give suggestions based on the error. They must be related. Okay, must be related, and it's something that you haven't do. Because if it's something that you already done in your experiment, if you did in the experiment, then that one is under precaution step. Some things that you have done, for example, you switch off the fan, that is precaution step. Now, in your report writing test, what they want is suggestions. Okay, so you observe what is the errors in your experiment. Okay, you did the experiment just now. What is the error that cannot be avoided in the experiment? And then you give the suggestions. So suggestion is, if you are going to repeat this experiment, what is the things that you will do to improve it, to overcome the errors that you observe throughout the experiment? Okay, to overcome the errors that you observe throughout the experiment. So this is a discussion. Okay, so now you have a 10 marks in this discussion. The format, they changed it a little bit. So previously, these 2 suggestions, I also accept the precautions, but now it's no longer accepted. Okay, it's no longer accepted in your report writing. What they want is the suggestions. Suggestions based on the errors that you observe. So it is something that you haven't done. Okay, it is something that you haven't done. So you try to imagine, if you're going to repeat this experiment again, you're going to do it for one more time. What is the things that can be done to improve it, to overcome the errors that you mentioned? Okay, so must be related and also with explanation. Okay, with explanation. All right. So, and one last thing, which is very important. Remember, don't give me pronouns in your experiment. Okay, in your discussion, no pronouns. Okay, what does it mean? No I, you, we, they. No I, you, we, they, ourselves. Okay, all this shouldn't exist in your discussion. Okay, all this shouldn't exist in your discussions. Once you have it, straight away I will skip that part. So for example, if you use we in the precaution step, straight away I will skip the whole paragraph. Okay, I will consider it as wrong because that is not how you write your lab report. Okay, so no pronouns in your discussion. Saya tak nak tengok I, you, we, they dalam discussion anda. Kalau kamu bagi I, you, we, they, saya akan terus skip part tersebut. If you mention it in the first error, I will skip the first error. If you mention the second error, I will skip the second error. All right? So mark will be deducted. So no pronouns, and then make sure you write it in terms of paragraph and also with explanation. Okay, so with explanations, what does it mean by with explanation? For example, okay, precaution step. Okay, precaution step, if you say fan must be switched off, one sentence only. Okay, fan must be switched off before you do the experiment. Okay, before experiment. In that case, no marks will be given because no explanation. Okay, so make sure come with explanation and make sure no pronouns. Kalau tidak, even though you got the correct answer, I won't give you marks. All right. So in university, your lab report, just the discussion, it can be up to 10 pages. Now, what am I asking? I'm just asking for maybe 2 sentences per statement. Okay, per precaution, 2 sentences for error, 2 sentences for suggestions. That's it. Okay, so altogether, maybe this one lab report, you just need 12 or maybe up to 15 sentences. That's it. Okay, not 15 pages. Saya cuma minta kamu tulis 15 ayat. Itu pun tak boleh kah? Nanti university kamu kena buat 10 muka surat tau. Okay, so some of you just give me 3 sentences in your report, in your discussion. So that one, I guarantee you will get less than 3 marks. If just 3 sentences. Right? So do a proper report writing. Okay, do a proper lab report. Metric is a place for you to practice how to do a nice looking proper lab report. Okay, so that you won't make silly mistake when you enter university. University, your prof won't tell you all this thing anymore. Okay, dia cuma akan bagi kamu title, you do the experiment, you do the report, you submit. Okay, and then marks depends on your professor, it depends on your lecturer. Okay, whether you got a high marks or a low marks, you don't know. Where is your mistake? You don't know. Okay, because they assume you know all these things already. So metric actually is a platform for you to practice. If you still don't want to practice, okay, you want to do chin chai, then what are you going to do in your university? I don't know. All right. So last thing, conclusions. Okay, last part is the conclusion. So conclusion is a 1 mark. Okay, 1 mark for the conclusions. So conclusions refers to objective. Okay, what to write in your conclusions, it refers to your objective. See whether you answer the objective or not. If you manage to answer the objective, for example, you manage to determine G and then you did the comparison, then you say objective is achieved. And then just give me the result. Okay, just give me the result. So you don't have to repeat everything in your discussions again. Okay, jangan pergi sebut. Okay, the readings for 10 cm is what? The times taken for 50 cm is how many second? The times that I recorded for 60 cm is how many second? No. Okay, all those things you don't mention it. Okay, not even in your discussion. Discussion, you just discuss the result. And then conclusions, you just give me the results. Okay, so just tell me what is the G determined from the experiment. Okay, so your G measure maybe is 10 meter per second square. Then you write it in your uh, objective. Okay, so G determines, okay, or G obtained from the experiment is 10 meter per second square. So objective is achieved. Done. That's it. Simple, short and simple. Conclusions don't give me too long. Okay, conclusion is short, simple and precise. Okay, precise bermaksud you answer the objective. Okay, pastikan ada jawab objektif. Satu ayat, one sentence is enough. Okay, so objective is achieved. The accelerations due to gravity determined from the experiment is maybe 10 meter per second squared. Done. Okay, so you don't go and discuss the result anymore. Okay, the value is accepted, blah, blah, blah. No. All those things should be in a discussion, not conclusion. Conclusion, just tell me whether your objective is achieved or not. If it is achieved, what is the value? Okay, so you don't go and discuss, okay, now the objective is achieved because my error is less than 20% when compared to the theoretical value 9.81 and blah blah blah. No. Okay, no, all those things should be in your discussion. Suggestions cuma bagi saya satu nilai sudah cukup, jangan pergi bincang lagi. Okay, so that is a common mistake that I've seen in your report. Ramai lagi, bincang sekali lagi. Okay, tak payah bincang. Conclusions tak payah bincang. Bincang, kamu bincang di discussion. Okay, kamu bincang kenapa dia accepted. Itu di discussion. Conclusions cuma kata accepted. Objective achieved. Nilai saya, okay, ini, habis cerita. Alright, habis cerita. So done. Okay, so this is a format for your report writing test, and this is how you should do your experiment 5. Okay, practice. Okay, practice. So experiment 5, again, you don't need to give me a theory, you don't give me a list of apparatus, you don't need to give me the procedure. Okay, what are you going to give me? You give me the name, the title, the objective, and observations, and a discussion, and also the last conclusion. All right. So done. That is the format. Okay, that is the format. So now I give you a 3 minutes break. We'll continue again at 9:25. Okay, 9:25. We'll continue again. We'll go through pre-lab in 5 minutes, and then I show you how to do a simple video editing. All right. So take a short break. Kamu boleh rehat sekejap. Okay, so it's the 925. Let us continue quickly. Finish this pre-lab. So pre-lab, I'm just going to show you the answer straight away. So just go through it quickly. Okay, pre-lab, just go through it quickly. So experiment 5, simple harmonic motions, course learning outcome. So as usual, this is what you have to learn at the end, what you have to know at the end of a SEM 1. And then learning outcome is at the end of this lesson, okay, at the end of your experiment. So it is not your objective, okay, not your objective. So which part is your objective? Your objective actually start from 2. 2 determines the accelerations due to gravity using a simple pendulum. 2 describe the effect of a large amplitude oscillations to accuracy of G obtained from the experiment. That is your objective. So don't write down the whole things. Don't copy the whole things. Okay? Masih ada pelajar copy sahaja. So if you just copy everything, so you start from at the end of this lesson, then okay, I'm going to give you 0 marks. Senang, okay, because that is not objective. So what is a simple pendulum? Simple pendulum is a one which can be considered as a point mass, which is suspended from a strings or the rod of a negligible mass. Okay. And then the motions of an object that returns to its initial positions after a fixed time interval is called periodic motion. Okay, so it will always go back to its initial position. So simple harmonic motion actually is a periodic motion. Okay, and then in a simple harmonic motion, state two quantities that is proportional to the object displacement. So the first one is the force, is the acceleration. So if acceleration is proportional, then force is also proportional to the displacement. Okay, so this thing we'll see it in chapter 9. All right, so I'm not going to explain it right now. We'll see it in chapter 9 because it's quite a large subtopic. And then the condition for the simple pendulum to perform simple harmonic motion. So this is the condition. These conditions you have to know it not just in the experiment but also in a lecture. It can be asked in your UPS. Okay, this can be asked in your UPS. So the mass, we always assume it is a point mass, and then the string, we assume the mass is negligible and the angle must be less than 10 degrees. All right, in order to perform a simple harmonic motion. So does the periods of oscillations depends on the mass? No. Okay, no. Why? It depends on the accelerations. Okay, it depends on the, well, I would say, yeah, accelerations or the displacement. Okay, so these things we will also discuss in chapter 9. Okay, because it depends on the things, but it depends on quite a lot of things except your time, except your mass. Okay, because mass is not in the equation. So number 3 and number 5, we'll keep it in a tutorial and also in a lecture. Okay, because it involves discussion of an equation. Okay, now let's proceed to the experiment. How to determine the period? This one is the things that I wanted to think, so I skip it. Okay, tak boleh tengok. Kamu fikirkan. So how to determine the period? You record the times taken for 10 oscillations and then you want the time for 1 oscillation. Okay, that is a simple mathematics. So if we vary the lengths of a pendulum and the period will change. So construct a proper tables to record the length, time, period, and t squared. Now this is actually not a proper table, okay? A proper table, you should have a T1, T2, and T3, and also T average. So 1, 2, 3, and average. And then this one, it depends on your device. Okay, this one, it depends on your device. So this is the table I showed you just now as well. So what is the title of the graph? Is T squared against L. That is written in the procedure. Okay, so remember this can be found in procedure. All right. So all these things you need to practice. You need to practice to know how to find it, where to find it. Because in your report writing test, you'll be given a brand new report, brand new experiment. Okay, kamu akan diberi satu eksperimen yang kamu tak pernah buat dari eksperimen 1 sampai eksperimen 6. So all this you need to know how to find it, where to find it. Because I cannot help you with that. You cannot simply memorize it from experiment 1 until experiment 6. Okay, tak boleh hafal. Saya tak boleh ajar kamu juga. Kamu sendiri kena tahu di manakah kamu boleh cari maklumat tersebut. Okay, for example, manakah kamu nak cari maklumat untuk tajuk. Okay, the title of the graph is coming from your procedure. And then where can you find the information for the uncertainty? Okay, if it is not given, then it should be from the list of apparatus. Okay, list for apparatus. And then where can you find the equations that you need to use? Okay, it's from the theory. Okay, it's from the theory. So all these things you need to know where to get it, which one to use. All right. So step number 5, step number 9, which procedure that investigate the effect of a large amplitude oscillation? So it's the procedure number 8, and the angle is 70 degree. You want to see what happened when you increase the angle to more than 10 degree. And then data analysis, how to determine the values of G from the gradient of the graph. So you obtain the equations from theory. Okay, you get the equation. So how to know which equations to use? You see which equations has a variable for the x-axis and y-axis of the graph. Okay, which one contain the variable? Okay, so y-axis and x-axis. Our y-axis now is a t square. Okay, so which equations contain t square and L at the same time? So that is the equations that we want to use. Okay, so after you identify the equations, you then try to think, do you need to rearrange the equation? So how to rearrange the equation? Rearrange it into y equals to mx plus c form. Okay, so make sure your y component is on the left hand side of the equation and the x component is on the right hand side of the equation. So in which it means if you rearrange the equation, you need to make sure t square is on the left hand side and then L is on the right hand side. Okay, and then the remaining term would be your m and your c. Okay, so where is your m, where is your c? It all depends on the equations that you get from theory. Okay, so this you must know how to do it because it's a brand new experiment, which means you're going to get a brand new equation. So you yourself have to identify which equations to be used and how to use it, whether you need to rearrange the equations. Okay, because I still don't have the questions yet, I was told that you will have a brand new experiment. That's it. Okay, so you yourself need to know all these things. So how to determine the values of G from the gradients of the graph? So you try to identify, you rearrange the equation and see which part give you G. So in this experiment, G is equals to 4 pi square over m. Okay, gradient is equals to 4 pi square over G. So by comparison, okay, this one you obtain it by comparison. So comparisons between what? Between the equations from theory and y equals to mx plus c. Right. So how to compare the values of G experiment, G standard. Okay, so take the G standard is 9.81 ms negative 2. You calculate the percentage of difference. Okay, atau percentage of error lah. Tapi kita tak ada percentage of error tau actually. Percentage of error, we calculate it based on uncertainty. Okay, so to be more precise, actually the terms that you should use in your report writing is percentage difference. Okay, tapi dalam marking scheme dia terima kedua-dua. Okay, percentage difference, percentage error, kedua-dua dia anggap sama. So in your report writing test is fine. Okay, both are accepted. Tapi kalau in the other experiment in SEM 2 where you get to calculate delta G, then that will be a different story. Okay, so delta G we use it to calculate percentage of error. This formula we use it to calculate percentage of difference if you have delta G. But SEM 1, because you are doing it from home, we are doing PDPR, we don't calculate delta G. That's why this experiment, this equation, they accept both name. Okay, they accept percentage difference or percentage error. Dia tak kisah. Tapi bila anda ada kira delta G, so anda kena berhati-hati dah. Okay, delta G kita panggil percentage of error, and then yang kita kira ini kita panggil percentage of difference. Okay, so how to compare? This is how you compare. G experiment minus G standard, you modulus it, divided by G standard times 100%. So predict what happens if the oscillation is a large amplitude. Okay, so it is a not linear path. Now it's a not linear. Now the reasons why we assume is 10 degree. Okay, why we take angle as a less than 10 degree. Yeah. So if you take it as a 10 degree, we assume the motion is in a linear path. If you take it as a 70 degree, then now this is the arc length. Okay, kita tak boleh buat assumption that is moved in a straight line. So in pendulum, we take less than 10 degree, we assume is a straight motion, it's a linear motion. Okay, from this vertical dotted line until it's a position 10 degree position. So this one we assume is a linear motion, and our derivations of equation actually is based on linear motion, okay, not a arc, not a circular motion. So if you use a large amplitude, then it's no longer a straight line, it's an arc length. Okay, tapi kalau kita angle small, okay, we use a small angle, then we assume it's a linear path. Okay, it's a straight line. So list 3 precaution, that one I wanted to think of it sendiri buat. Okay, so that is the end of pre-lab 5. Okay, kita dah habis dah pre-lab 5. So itu sahaja untuk pre-lab 5. Okay, pre-lab 5 seperti biasa tak payah hantar, kamu cuma kena faham apa yang penting, apa yang kena buat. Alright, so for Mr. Anas class, you guys ask him whether you need to submit or not. Alright, but for my class, usually I don't collect pre-lab. Okay, so next I'm going to show you how to do a video editing. Okay, just a simple video editing. Because in your experiment 5, when you do the experiment, I want you to do a video for me as well. Okay, I want you to do a video for me. So the things that you must show in the video, okay, I want you to record it. The things that you need to show in your video. Wait, yeah, I did make a list for you guys. So the things that you need to show in your video, okay, I want to see all apparatus, the setup, okay, you set it up nicely, clearly, okay, tunjuk saya apa yang kamu sudah set. And then you need to show me, okay, how you record the length of the string. You can show by using a picture, okay? You place the ruler beside your string and then you show me how did you take the record, okay? How did you record the readings of a length of the string? So, but ramai orang, okay, what happens in a lab? They measure 40 cm, but when they tied it, the actual length becomes 38 cm. Okay, from the origin until the pendulum. So you need to show me how you record the reading, how you record the 40 cm. Okay, just show me once. You don't have to show me every step, okay, every repeated times. No, you just show me one. Okay, so we take the shortest one, 40 cm. All right, and then record the value in the table. Okay, you can show in picture and then you just combine it to becomes a video. Okay, tak ada masalah. Okay, and then you show me how you release it. Okay, you must show me you release at an angle that is less than 10 degree, okay, or maybe 10 degree, maximum 10 degree, not more than 10. Okay, again, it can be in a picture, so you might need a helper. All right, and then this one, step number 4, must be in video. Okay, I want you to count it for me. So in your video, when you release it, you let it oscillate 2 times, and then you count it. Okay, so actually should be 10, okay, ada typing error di sini. So you count it 10 oscillation. Okay, you count 1, 2, 3. Kalau kamu segan sangat, if you're too shy to show me your voice, then you can add a text in your video. Okay, 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the countdown text. Okay, it's up to you how you want to do it. Okay, so you can count it by using your voice, or you can count it by using text. Okay, kamu sendiri tambah text. And then measures and record the time. So just show me how you use your phone. Okay, show me the phone in your video because I want to see how many decimal places. I want to see whether you use the correct decimal places in your report writing or not. Okay, so this one you can show me by using picture. Okay, and then safety. Okay, of course you need to conduct in a safe place. Okay, jangan tepi kamu punya mak tengah memasak and then you're doing the experiment beside it. Then that is not safe. So you find a place that is safe enough to conduct the experiment. And then at the end of the experiment, okay, you show me you clean up the station already. Okay, because that is what you should do in an actual lab. Okay, in an actual lab. So every part, 3 marks. Kalau kamu buat dengan betul, semua kategori 3 markah. So altogether 21 marks. So I will check your video in terms of 7 things, okay? In terms of 7 things. So these are the 7 things that I will check. All right. So this experiment 5, I want you to practice how to edit the video, how to take a video, and I will tell you whether it's correct or not. Okay, I will tell you whether it's correct or not. So how to do a video editing? Okay, if you don't know, okay, for those of you if you are already very good in a video editing, then that is okay. Okay, you don't have to follow my step. Now, let us try. Okay, let us try. Yeah. So what am I going to do now? Oh, actually, it's not this one. I'm going to share entire screen. Okay, so what am I going to do now? I'm going to show you how you can do a simple video editing by using a built-in software in your window in your laptop. Okay, in your Windows 10. So Windows 10, actually you can edit the video already. Okay, you don't have to download special software. You don't have to download anything. So in your search, okay, you go to the video editor. Okay, so you have an app that is built in your Windows 10 called Video Editor. So you go to Video Editor. Okay, so it will pop up a screen like this. Okay, wait for a while because I got a lot of project in it, so it will take some time to load. Okay, so in your video editor, this is how it looks like. So what are you going to do next? You go to New Project. Okay, you go to New Project. So tekan, you press it. Okay, New Project. Yeah, okay, so it will bring you into a place like this. Okay, so into a window like this. So in your new project, you name your video. Okay, so how I want you to name your video? I want you to name your video according to your actual name. Okay, your actual name. So for example, my name, and then underscore your metric number. Okay, your MS. So metric number 1, 2, 3, 4. For example, okay, your name underscore followed by your metric number, and then okay. Okay, so now you're ready. Okay, you're ready to edit your video. So how do you want to edit the video? You just go to add project. Okay, the project library, you go to add. So you can add from PC, you can add from your collections of the video or your photo, or you can add from web. Usually I add from PC. Okay, add from PC. So for example, how you want to add a video. Now I have a picture, a lot of picture here, and also I have a lot of video here. Okay, so which means video, you don't have to record it in one shot. Okay, you can record multiple video, you can take multiple photo, and then you combine them into a video. Okay, so maybe for example, now I want to select one, okay, and then I press Control. I select the second photo, I select the third photo, and now maybe I want this photo as well. I got 4 photo, and then I got 2 video clip. Okay, I got 2 video clip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, I got 4 pictures and 2 video. Okay, and then okay. So it will brings it into a library. All right, it will brings everything to the library. So what are you going to do next? Okay, you see what is the things that you want to show me first. Maybe your self intro. Okay, maybe your front cover. Okay, your front cover says that, okay, what is your name? You're doing what experiment? And then your metric number. Okay, so your front page. Okay, now you drag it to here. So this is your front page. The default setting of front page is 3 seconds in a video editor. Okay, so you can change the duration. So you click it, you go to duration. Then you can change it to how many seconds you want. All right, remember your video cannot be longer than 3 minutes. Okay, tak boleh lebih daripada 3 minutes. So you go to here, you can change the durations of the picture. Now, why I want you to use this, because if you use this, there's no watermark. So it won't block my view. If you use any other free software from online, sometimes it will have watermark. And I'm not sure where is the positions of watermark because it depends on the software. Some watermark, they are very nice. They just place it at the corner. But some of them, they are very annoying. They play it at the center. So if it is at the center of the video, then sometimes I might miss the content. For example, I cannot see your reading. Then in that case, mark will be deducted. Okay, so kalau kamu guna free software, kamu kena berhati-hati dengan posisi watermark. Kalau watermark block kamu punya video, dia block reading, saya tak boleh nampak reading, saya tak boleh nampak tempat yang penting, maka markah akan ditolak. Okay, but if you use video editor, then no watermark at the end of the video. Okay, so first thing, okay, let's say I want to add a picture, and then after self intro, Okay, maybe it's another picture. So I drag it again. Okay, so every picture, the default setting is 3 seconds. So now you look at here, it shows 6 seconds. Okay, dia tunjuk 6 seconds because I already added 2 pictures. Okay, 2 pictures in my video. Okay, and then after that, okay, now after second picture, now maybe I want to add in a video. So I drag the video. Okay, I drag the video here. So now the video will be played after the first 2 pictures. So first picture, second picture, third picture, third video. Okay, this is the video. So the length of video, as you can see here, is 3 minutes 23 seconds. Okay, it's 3 minutes 23 seconds. So one picture, 2 picture, 1 video. Video, now sometimes video is not perfect. Okay, video is not perfect. So I want to trim it. So you go to trim. Okay, press this video, select yes, and then you go to trim. So now it brings you to here. So what you can do, okay, you can select where you want to trim from. So you try, okay, you try all these. Okay, let's say, okay, this is where you want to start. You put the mark here, and then you drag this one. Okay, drag it until here. Okay, kamu gerakkan yang bulat ini dulu sampai tempat yang kamu nak. This is the where you want to start. Okay, so you let it stop at here, and then you move the marker. Okay, you move the marker. So it will trim your video starting from here. Okay, you trim it from here. And then let's say you want it to end at the, okay, here. Okay, this is the end of the video. Belakang, maybe you haven't stopped it yet. You forgot to switch off your video recording. Okay, so you stop it at here. You put the marker here. Then you drag the marker. Okay, so done. So it will trim your video from this starting point until the start of trim. You see the start of trim until the end here, the end of trim. Okay, after you confirm, okay, you can rewatch it. So you move it from here, you move the circle back to the start from trim, you can play. So see whether that is the part that you want. So after that, just done. Okay, done. Okay, so now you see, now I trim my video, it becomes 2 minutes 39 seconds. 2 minutes 39 seconds. Okay, now what if, okay, what if this video, okay, you want the front part and the end part, you don't want the middle part, you don't want the center. Okay, kamu tak nak tengah-tengah, kamu nak awal, permulaan, dan kamu nak hujung. Then what you can do, you just drag it one more time. Then you have 2 identical video. Then you can trim this one. Let's say this one. Okay, if you just want the beginning, so you start from the beginning and then you trim the front part. And then done. This one, okay, this one you trim it. Okay, you go to the back. Okay, let's say you want to start to trim from here. So you go from here and then you trim it until the end. Done. Okay, so that is the end. So tempat beginning and then the end. So that is how you trim the video. Okay, so one video, you can use it multiple times. You can trim it multiple times. Depends on where you want it, right? So after video, maybe you want to add in another picture. Okay, so you add in one more picture. Let's say now you add in this picture. Okay, again, it's another 3 seconds. Okay, it's another 3 seconds. And then, okay, finish the end. All right, done. So you want to see whether you're satisfied or not. You go back to the first one, you click it, and then you play. Okay, you play. See whether you're satisfied with the video or not. Okay, so you play, and then it will start to move. It will start to play the video. Okay, you see 3 seconds, move to second picture. Okay, 6 seconds, move to second picture, and then now it's the starting. Okay, it's the starting of my video. So you go through until the end of the video, and you see whether you're happy or not. Okay, and you don't go and add all the fancy thing for me, yeah? Background music, audio, all those things, no marks. Okay, no extra marks will be given to all those music, all those effects. Okay, nampak gempak ke apa ke, no extra marks, no bonus mark. You are wasting your own time. Okay, what I want to see is what you do in your experiments. Okay, what you do in your experiment. Now, if you want to add text, okay, you just select the videos that you want to add text, and then you go to this one, text. Okay, so it brings up a panel like this. Okay, so you can choose where you want to add the text. Okay, so you have a various text, you have a various position. Make sure you choose it correctly, nicely, and then you have a various types of the works. And then you type your text here. Okay, there is a text box. All right, so if you are done, text. So if you are done, for example, I want to see, okay, testing. Okay, testing. So it comes up here. Okay, atas sekali. So you can see it's right up here. Okay, so It will start here. So this is the times that it will show the terms testing. Okay, text duration. So you can increase it, you can decrease it. All right. So once it's done, then you can click done. So it comes up. Okay, it comes up here. You see now there is a testing. Okay, but because my work's in the white color, so it's not clear. All right, it's not clear. So okay, so now after you rewatch the video again, if you are happy with everything, okay, if you're happy with everything, then you just go to here. Okay, up right corner, finish video. Now, don't export as high quality. Yeah, if you export it high quality, it will take forever to export it. Sometimes, okay, last time I can tell you, last time I export a 1 hour video. Okay, it takes 6 hours to export it, to finish the video. Okay, 6 hours to process it and 1 hour video in a HD quality. So kalau kamu pilih quality ini, then it's going to take forever to process it. So go to the low. Okay, you choose a smallest size. Smallest file size also save your data. Okay, tolong anda jimat data. So go to the small size, okay, and then you just export. Okay, export, it'll ask you where do you want to export it. Okay, you just export it to your desktop and then upload it to the Google Classroom. Okay, upload it to the Google Classroom. So this is how you do a simple video editing, and this is more than enough for your practical test. Okay, you don't go and add all those effects where your screen, your first picture coming from the left-hand side, second picture coming from the right-hand side, and then the third pictures come out from nowhere, the video got all the fancy effect. No, okay, I don't want all those. So just give me basic, simple video like this. Okay, it's far more enough. All right. Okay, now there is a very funny things. Okay, I think got a very funny in functions here. Wait, yeah. Okay, the durations. Okay, now if you go to video, there is a function called speed. Okay, speed is useful if you are not talking. Okay, speed in this free video editor is useful if you are not talking. You just want to speed up the video. Okay, sometimes it's useful if your video is too long, so you can increase it to maybe 1.25 speed. Okay, you increase it a little bit because maybe you exit the 3 minutes video. Okay, you just want to speed up something, some of the video, some part. Okay, so you can speed it up. But if you are talking and you speed it up, then some very funny thing will happen. Okay, your sound, your voice will become cartoon voice. So that is one downside, one disadvantage of using this video editor. Okay, but one good thing that I like about it is no watermark. Okay, dia tak ada watermark. It won't block any important things in your video. Okay, any important informations in your video. So if you want to use free online software, or if you are getting used to all free online software, go ahead. Okay, I won't stop you from using all those. Just make sure those watermark don't cover up the important informations in your video. Okay, so is that clear? Any questions that you want to ask? Any things that you don't understand that you want to ask? Ada? No questions?
No, madam.
Okay, clear, right? So remember, for my class, experiment 5, I want 2 things, okay? First things, I want a lab report by using the format that I showed you just now. The second things, I want a short video clip, 3 minutes, all right? I want you to practice how to make a video, okay? How to make a video, not just for physics. You're going to use it for chemistry and also biology. So this is a very good time for you to practice, for you to control. And in your video, okay, you don't have to show me the step for all 6 reading. You just show me 1 reading. Because what I want to see in the video is whether you're using the right skill, the correct skill in recording all those information. So, tak payah bagi saya 6 gambar yang tunjuk kamu ukur panjang length string. Okay, you just show me 1 picture is enough, 40 cm. 1 picture is enough. The phone, you show me the time for 1 reading is enough. Okay, so the only things that you have to be careful is when you count down for the oscillations. Okay, you have to start from before you count it, the 2 oscillations before you count it, followed by the 10 oscillations where you record the time. Okay, 10 oscillations where we record the time. Okay, so I think that's it. That marks the end of today's class. So if no questions, you may leave the class now. Okay, if no questions, you may leave the class now. So I'll see you all again tomorrow.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Madam,
Yes?
untuk 70 degree tu kan,
Aha.
tak payah buat table kan?
Kena buat satu table sebab kamu kena ada average time juga kan?
Oh, jadi 2 table lah semua.
Ya, 2 table. So walaupun untuk 70 degree cuma satu ketinggian, satu length sahaja, kamu buatlah table untuk satu length sahaja.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Madam,
Yes?
due date untuk hantar eksperimen ni?
Ini saya bagi kamu masa panjang sikit. So sampai Ahad lah.
Ahad minggu ni.
Ya, sebab sekarang Isnin kan. Sampai Ahad kamu ada Jumaat dan Sabtu untuk pergi record dan edit video anda.
Okay. Thank you, madam.
Okay.